Hello and welcome everyone to your Thursday live show, the Warhammer Meta Chasers. My name is Paul, your host. I'm joined by the mogul Dustin Henshaw.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Adam Camilleri is doing a little celebrating festiveness, the
Yeah,
time of the season.
some work Christmas parties. This is the time of the year that all the work Christmas parties come up. So
It
we're having a
is.
lunch still for him.
It's,
It starts at lunch. They're cutting the day short.
look, take it where you can get it. Hours are out. Get out early if you can. We certainly miss him. He will be back next week. Hopefully, we'll have everybody back next week. Thanks for holding it down with Scary the last show.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I always love doing this show, and bringing on guests sometimes can be hit and miss. Scary was both, so it was good.
Always a pleasure to spend time with the Archon Scary. But welcome, everyone. This is a live show we do every Thursday. If you are joining us after the fact, we, of course, welcome you as well on the podcast aggregators as well. We do the weekly show where we run down the biggest and best tournaments coming up over the weekend to show you what that meta is. We're going to tell you a little bit about what you're going to expect to see there, maybe even chat a little bit about how to beat the meta. We're going to do some predictions about who we think is going to win the things, either the faction or the players themselves. We have two great events to cover for you this week. We have, you savages.
You got this.
Hispalis Imperium 4 GT Sevilla from Seville, Spain. 160 players, 32 teams of 5-round event. To our Spanish listeners, let me know how I did.
That was pretty good. I'm happy with it. I actually don't know though, so.
So we have a great chat community as well. Got some folks already saying what's up. Dorian, Artemis, KR, Nurgle, Matt, always great to see y'all. Let us know if you happen to be in the chat or coming in these events. Let us know what you're playing if you feel like calling your shot. So we got a comment is like, why does the Death Leaper have to be so complicated? I assume that means assembly.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I didn't find it too awkward.
Really?
Yeah. So where you can mess up those is like where all that like his flesh duster connects to the legs.
Yeah, that feels awkward too. Like if once you hit the right spot, then you're like, oh, okay, now I know what fits here. It's first finding that spot the first time I think gets can be a little finicky. He's a bit of a pain. I've actually had a bit more of a nightmare with the new Biovores and Pyrovores. If we're talking about Tyranid models.
Oh, there you go. You know that what I did actually, I'm holding the piece of the paperclip that I used to sub out the cannons on those. You don't have to choose which cannon you attach
It's
since
true.
all the
They actually
parts
kind of like
are.
sit on there pretty nicely too. You don't even need
Yeah,
sticky tack. They actually like grip on.
yeah. I put a pin in it basically.
Yeah.
A paperclip. I just
Oh,
happen to have.
if you're putting those together, guys, do not glue that gun on before you paint it. Oh, ooh, that's gonna be a nightmare. Don't do that.
Got it close on the pronunciation. I'll
Okay,
take it.
take it.
Last week I was actually at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. I had a great time meeting, a lot of Warhammer players and then some new Warhammer players and introducing people to the game. It was amazing. But look, we're here for the meta. 160 players, 32 teams of 5-round event. In a team event, the factions can't be represented more than once, and so how close they come to that 50% mark is kind of like the I think a view into what people think may be the strongest armies. So I'm kind of curious to what that faction is because the meta's been pretty spread out and pretty healthy
It
over the
has.
last few weeks. What's this one going to look like, Dustin?
I don't know. Let's find out. So we are going to have in the Imperial Superfaction, there are 4 Sisters of Battle. That's a lot lower than I was expecting, to be honest. 3 Custodes, 1 Admech, 9 Astr Militarum, 7 Grey Knights. Wow. Okay. 4 Imperial Knights. Space Marines are 6 Adeptus Astartes, 4 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 2 Blood Angels, and 3 Black Templar.
That's so low for Space Marines right now.
Yeah, that is actually pretty low because you add all those together because you can have only one of those on your team. So that's what, 10, 13, 15, 18? That's barely over 50%, which means they are our threshold is if 50% of them are represented at the event. That means they are one of the better armies in the game
That's a
right now.
great call. I was not adding them all together to represent that one faction, and a lot of team tournaments do put all of Astartes
Yes.
into one bucket. You're right.
So Chaos, there's 12 Chaos Space Marines. That is significantly lower than I was expecting for them. That is a very strong faction. Wow, that's shocking.
What is arguably the top faction at the
Yeah,
moment.
I would argue it is the top faction for sure. 5 T-Suns, 8 Death Guard, 6 World Eaters, 5 Demons, and 8 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 12 Necrons. This is Europe after all. 7 orcs, 10 Tau, and 13 Votan.
Ooh,
The meta
somebody's
over in
got
Spain, man. This is awesome.
some Sagittars.
Oh, yes. They came in stock just recently in Spain. Hivemind, there's 5 Tyranids and 2 Gene Stealer cult. Eldari, there was 4 Drukhari and 17 Eldari, which means the faction podium is Eldari in first with 17, Votan in second with 13, CSM and Necrons tied in third with 12. Now, that again isn't including the fact that the Space Marines faction is 18, which counts kind of towards that for the team.
Yeah, I
So,
think
like,
so, yeah.
I would say they're kind of the top technically, but
Yeah.
for straight taking faction Eldari, then Votan. Let's talk about the Votan for a second because they just came out of nowhere here. I haven't seen them podium in a while. Like, they're good. They are definitely
So
good.
they
They've been
have
on the
been building
rise.
up. It
Yes.
seems like they're trying to find that actual kinda like magic combination for their army list
Mhm.
after the changes, and of course, it has a lot to do with several things. What's in stock, what people can get
Yep.
their hands on, but in team tournaments, people play a lot of borrow hammer.
Yep.
So,
Yes, they can.
what I mean by that is that, you only have 1 player on that team, and so if you had, theoretically 2 Votan players, only one of them could play, and so they would borrow the figures from their buddy to make the whatever they think is the most potent super list, for that to attack that meta.
Yes, absolutely. The Votan, as you were saying, they are on the rise right now, and because they are actually going to start getting the stuff in stock, and they can play borrow hammer from their friends, and there's only your whole team. If you have like 2 or 3 Votan players, you can kind of combine all those into the one list that you're going to be taking. And I feel like Votan are so close to breaching that like 5-1 because they're going to hit a lot of 5-1s, 4-2s. They're not getting many 6-0s right now or 7-0s like undefeateds. But in a team event, that one match that they'd be losing, don't need to worry about it.
That's right, 'cause in a team event, you have some agency in when you're picking your
Yeah.
matchup. So either you're putting list out, for other people to match up to, or you get to choose, which one you wanna face out of the 2 they offer you. So ideally, you're taking a better matchup or understand what path you're putting yourself on,
Yes.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
understanding of it.
Or you have a little bit of play into when you put your list out that you might think is the weakest matchup, for, choosing of the opponents.
Yes.
And so I think you're referring to is that one bad matchup where you're just Swiss paired into a faction or two, which may not be your best matchup. You may be able to potentially avoid it.
Or get it at the specific map and mission that you can beat them on. You have that
Great
agency as
point.
well.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, so that's combination of all those things is probably why we see all those Votan. Eldari, kind of a no-brainer. We talk about Chaos Space Marines being a high-powered, top faction. Eldari's another one with just a little bit of help, a little bit
Mhm.
of that everything we were just talking about for the Votan. Uh, they're still number one.
Yes. Absolutely.
So let's talk about a couple of the teams we're going to see here. The Conclave is some of the top teams in attendance. So I say that we sometimes pick out what is a top team or a top list, and sometimes we pick out a meme list or a meme thing or something that has things we have not seen before. But looking at this lineup here, it looks like it might be the real deal.
This looks like the
Uh,
real deal to me.
yeah, so here we got a list of world leaders with Lord Invocatus, with the Berserkers, 3x3 8 bound, 6x3 3 exalted 8 bound, and I'm sure we're seeing like the Lord of Executions in there,
Oh, yeah,
uh,
for sure.
Cha- Chaos Knights. We got 5 Brigands, 6 Carnivores, 3x3 Nurglings, and Blue Scribes. So going into the demons for more than just a couple of Nurglings, more than just one lone op. Very interesting there. Chaos Space Marines, 2 Chaos Lords, plus some Chosen, 2 Dark communes with their Cursed Cultist. That actually puts the total wounds of the Cursed Cultist units into the high 20s,
Yeah. I
if I remember right.
think it's 28.
Abaddon, yeah, Abaddon, which we have not seen recently. 1 Forge Fiend, 4 Obliterators, and some Raptors. So obviously, I think another Forge Fiend being displaced there by Abaddon. And where are the Rhinos? But obviously they got their eye on something that we don't see right now. Votan, 20 Hearthguard, 6 by 3 Thunderkin, which are very popular choices. 2 Land Fortresses, 2 Sagittars, and then 2x5 units of Berserkers that will most likely go in those Sagittars.
That's interesting, having this 2 land fortresses too. I've seen actually a decline in Thunderkin recently as well. I just
Uh,
and there's no just Hearthkin warriors in this either for the cheap guys that'll go in the Sagittars, right? So this is a heavy hitting Votan list. This is
eh,
less of a scoring one in terms of like I can just score no matter what. This is I'm gonna kill you and
well, those
score.
land fortresses can still wipe you off the table.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's what I mean. And
Yeah,
it's a good list. I mean, Votan
everything
is
can be
good.
mounted up. This is
Yep.
like they've got a lot of mounting up, a lot of teleportation, that kind of stuff. So
Yes.
last one bringing in is the Yunari with Yvrain. So Yvrain is the figure you have to take to make the faction Yunari. That she's the one that unlocks you taking the multiple factions to make that. Let's see what they've chosen here. The Incarn, which you know. Got to take the Incarn. Three Night Spinners. That's an interesting choice because it seems to be the kind of the play there is do you take two or do you take three? Going for three. I like that, stacking it up that way. 10 Wraith Blades with axe and shields. You don't see
Ooh.
that every day, but we've talked about it. It's going to basically, you want something to control the center of the table. Look no further than Wraith Blades.
Yeah, no kidding.
Uh, y- Unit of Mandrakes and then 3x5 Scourges,
So this is
probably armed with all manner of weaponry.
yeah, like everything. I would if I had to guess with looking at the rest of this list, probably Dark Lances, range and
Uh,
anti vehicle.
yeah, that would make some sense. I mean, they do have a lot of choices, but I think the
They
lance
do.
is kind of hard to go wrong with the lances because you don't pair no badly into anything in this
Yeah,
case.
aside from hordes, but you have night spinners and literally everything else in the NRA list probably can deal with any kind of horde as well. So they
Yeah,
might have one
KR
with like
says,
a. So go ahead.
uh, yeah, KR says Adam probably left out the rhinos just to guess.
Yeah,
Maybe so. I didn't add up the
yeah,
points, but he's being tricky with us this week.
yeah. I would guess so. That would make sense too. But what do you think of the 5 pack there?
This is strong because it
Mhm.
looks like that there really isn't. There's no gimme list here.
No, there isn't.
It looks like just with just a little bit of matchup favor, you know, the ability to do those pairings, they're going to make their opponents work for every point. Like these, everything here looks to be a take all comers list in some capacity. This is
Hmm.
something that is won events or knocking on the doors of the events,
Yeah.
or in the case of the Chaos Knights, a known spoiler.
Yes. And I think that's actually the main point to focus in on here because the World Eaters, Chaos Space Marines, Voten, and Inari are all basically all comers lists. Yes, they'll all have like bad matchups, but the bad matchups they have are inconsequential compared to the Chaos Knights because the Chaos Knights will actually bully some of those bad matchups.
Yeah,
So
I think you're right.
they actually they provide something for this 5 man that just makes the rest of them very hard to pair into. So I
Yeah,
actually love the Chaos Knights in this 5 pack.
I love the carnivores too. That's something that I think that a lot of people have not always gravitated to. They mix them up
Yeah,
into some
we've
different ones.
started to see a lot more carnivores show up as Chaos Knights, as I feel like the last few weeks I've been hearing a lot of carnivores in these lists.
That's been the whole thing, with Chaos Knights is they've always been in that what I would consider a solid B tier in list. Now,
Yeah.
I'm a Chaos Knight player, by the way. I love them. I love putting them on there, and you're exactly right. In the right situation, your opponent just feels like there's nothing they can do, but they're right there on that B side. I think in the same way that Adeptus Sororitas are, and you'll hear us talk about this a lot, is that they have so many war gear options. It's easy to make what you think is the perfect list and then just
Right.
get a couple of bad matchups
Right.
because you needed that other war gear configuration when you brought one thing and had the other. In a team tournament though, you can mitigate that a bit. So I'm curious to see how this team does. Obviously, what we understand to be great players as well. Next team we have here is a Tremas. Astro Militarum, leading off there with Gaunt's Ghost. We've seen them work their way into a lot of lists recently
Oh
too. They've
yeah.
got some cool redeploy stuff. Leontis, Creed, 2x10, Lord Solar, of course, talking about Creed, Ursula Creed, 2x10 Catechins, 2x10 regular infantry squads, two Chimeras, three Hellhounds, a Basilisk, three Manticores, 3x1 Scout Sentinels, and a Calidus. So show me where the fat is on this list. It isn't there. They've got a bunch of rules to stack up. This is going to be very difficult to deal with. Going to another Yanari list. Yvrain making her second appearance on this show. Can you believe it? I did not believe it. Did not think we're going to see two Yvrains with a couple of top teams. Incarn, two 3x5 Scourges, three Night Spinners, 10 Wraith Guard. So going with Wraith Guard instead of Wraith Blades. Look at that. I think there's a little bit of comparing notes here. Or these
I'm
players
seeing that.
are
Yeah, looks familiar.
are distilling themselves down to what is, control and ranged firepower, out of sight ranged firepower. Absolutely love it. Of course, the Wraith Guard, still good. I know they had some changes recently, but you know what? They still get to shoot if you shoot at them.
They absolutely
So,
do.
and these have Wraith cannons. That could be a problem. Dark Angels, Gladius, Apothecary, Biologus with the aggressors, and it looks like going into a Redeemer, which is a Land Raider. 10 Deathwing Knights, 6 Eradicators, 6 by 3 by 3, and Scepters. I have to imagine there's some play in the war gear too. And Scepters either have the plasma or the bolters that you can give them with. And typically when you see them in this quantity, there's like a choice made on one, at least one of those squads about which one
Yeah,
to
there's
take.
usually the 6 man is usually the plasma, and then one 3-man plasma, one 3-man bolter squad, normally.
Yeah, or I think you'd easily switch that too to have 6 bolters and then
You
3
absolutely
3.
could.
But look, we don't know what it is, but at least not the full details. But I would have to imagine that's what it is. Full. Also, I want to admit here, as a filthy meta chaser, I've also purchased 6 new Inceptors to build as,
Of
as
course.
plasma
I
Inceptors.
mean, they're good. They're really
Yeah,
good.
I have 6 bolters, but now I'm going 6 plasma. So
So you'll
look.
be ready to go with either of these loadouts.
Yep, and then 2 by 5 scouts, which is we've seen scouts be played, pretty well recently. Another Leagues of Votan list, 3 by 10 Hearthguard Warriors, 5 Sagittars, so that's where they all went.
This is where
2
they
by
all
10
are, man.
Hearthguard, 3 by 3 Pioneers, so a different list makeup.
This is more what I'm used to seeing in both singles and team event, just because it is more of a scoring list. It still has good kill power. The other one, just more killy than scory. But this both viable, both very viable.
Agreed. And then we got Chaos Space Marines with a little bit different take on here. 3 by 3 Accursed Cultists with Dark Communes. We've seen them used to good effect for board control. Basically, can just get out there and choke the board with just and also put out some decent punching from the Dark Commune squad.
Yeah.
When you beat them up with the what are they called? The Terrors or something? I can't remember exactly the name of the the medium monster, the mini spawn.
Oh, the mini spawn. Jeez, I can't remember what they're
I
called.
know. Chat, help us
Chat'll
out.
help us. Chat'll help us.
Yeah, with the mini spawn. 2 Forge Fiends, there they are.
Mhm.
2 by 3 Nurglings and the Blue Scribes.
Of course.
Abaddon, again, Abaddon, I really thought Abaddon was on the shelf for most people. What do you think's bringing it back out
I
for
don't
the team
know.
tournament?
I have seen the Abaddon plus the Terminators a little bit more, but it's not like a common list. It's the other list other than the Chosen. You'll still take the Dark Communes normally, and then that 10 Terminator squad, if they have like I think it's the mark of Zinch or Slanesh. Slanesh, the one they respawn, I think. Yeah, that's the one they respawn, and they can actually get
Okay.
some good buffs on them too. So their damage output's good. They're durable and respawn if you don't kill them as well. They can be a big bully and something that can just sit on a middle objective that'll normally be out in the open on WTC tables, which I'm assuming in Spain they're going to be doing WTC tables. So
That sounds about what we
yeah,
would expect to see there, yeah.
so this is a bully unit that can sit on a middle objective, and you have to either focus everything on it, and then everything else will start getting in position to take care of you,
Yeah, and
or
I guess
ignore it.
that is that board control we were talking about is like, we're gonna take the center, so
Yep,
any objective in the center, "Hey, that's ours now." We got
exactly.
Abaddon, 10 Terminators here, do your best. Oh, and do you really wanna sacrifice firepower to the accursed cultist squads that are
Yeah,
roaming
exactly.
around with their
By the way,
billions of
I
wounds or
still have
whatever?
my armor contempt version, and I'll have the invuln. We respawn if you don't kill us all. So good luck.
Outflanking Forge Fiends and that kind of
Outflanking
stuff.
14. They're out. Their Overwatch is actually pretty good with Abby in there too.
There we go. Nargomat, love to see you here as well. Thanks for joining us again. So those are the 2 teams we want to cover, and this looks like a stacked field. We know that
Mhm.
Warhammer 40,000 in Spain is just crazy popular right
It's
now.
crazy popular. Very, very strong meta there. So all these lists have a plan. These teams have a plan, and it's going to be. I hope they're streaming. I'm sure they are because they have some great streaming content creators over in Spain. So look for that if you want to watch some great Warhammer. I think that's going to be it's really well covered too. So
Completely agree with that. So here in the team tournaments, if you're just joining us, one, thank you. Glad you found us. We normally have a third with us here. We do this live every week and also on the podcast aggregators. But if you're just joining us, we pick what we think is going to be the winning faction or the winning player, and then by proxy, the faction at events. But at team tournaments, it's impossible for us to go down each and every team and give them the once over and the love that they deserve. So what we do is we pick what we think is going to be the highest battle point scoring faction over the course of the weekend, and that's how we award ourselves points. And we go over. We have a show that we do just on the Patreon side, to where we actually recap what happens over the weekend, and we basically give ourselves a lot of crap, see how many points that we have or have not scored. Last month, Dustin, you took home the crown, and then Adam and I tied, so that means we both lost. So
You both came second. That's
that's one way to
effectively.
phrase it. Yeah, one way to phrase it. So this week, and if you're not here, then you get your default pick, which for Adam in this case is going to be the Astartes. He's a Dark Angel player at heart, and so if you're not here, we go with our meme picks, is what we're calling them.
Yep.
And in this case, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to go strong here and say Eldari.
That's a strong pick. That is a strong pick. I have to go with the standard that I always go with, and I'm going with CSM.
All right.
Feel like
Oh,
CSM is still just so strong.
they are strong. No, they really are. In a team tournament, it is one of those ones to where you don't have to necessarily be doing. Your team doesn't have to be doing the best in order for you to um, be scoring a lot of points for your team. You could still be. You could be the top battle point scorer
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
not on the top team. But we'll see how it goes. But with Yonari Eldari, and we've seen these really great competitors float to that style of list. I think there's some power there that we're gonna see some good results from.
Oh yeah. And it
Oh,
doesn't matter if how big or how much they're represented to. It's just as long as one person is scoring all these points. So it often will happen in team events that one of the lower ranking teams will have one guy that is just crushing people. So they'll actually end up scoring a lot of the time. But because when you start going the really top tables, the score differentials tend to get a little bit closer. Of
Joel, welcome. No worries coming in late. We did
course.
just cover a cool team event in Spain,
Hmm.
and we're about to cover one more event before we have like a palate cleanser segment. We call it the Fuego Rapido after this thing, where after we talked about all the crunchy stats of events, we just kind of chill out and do something sometimes on Warhammer related, sometimes silly, sometimes deep and emotional, connecting
Very
with us
nice.
here on the show and
You'll learn some
hopefully
stuff.
awakening experiences with y'all. This is the segment we would actually sponsor. So, without in lieu of a sponsor of our own of the show, we'll sponsor ourselves and say, go check out our Patreon. This show, takes a lot of behind the scenes research and stuff to create. And of course, we're bringing it to you live every week. And if you are so moved to do so, please check us out on Patreon. Every tier is amazing, and every tier goes a long way to helping us keep the show moving and going. And we absolutely appreciate it. Thank y'all for doing it. Uh,
Always appreciate you guys.
Yep. So the next event we are going to be covering is the Fight Before Christmas from Upper Hutt, Wellington, New Zealand. New Zealand 40 players, 5-round event. Who's going to be playing? What are we seeing?
Let's see. So the Imperial Superfaction, there are 3 Custodes, 2 Astr Militarum, and 3 Grey Knights. 1 Imperial Knight, and apparently that Imperial Knight is Steve Joel himself, the legend.
Is it
So
love Steve down there? Absolutely awesome.
Space Marines, there are 3 Astartes, 1 Dark Angel, and 1 Space Wolf. Chaos, there's 2 Chaos Space Marines, 3 Death Guard, 5 World Eaters, 2 Demons, and 2 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 3 Necrons, 3 Orcs, 1 Tau, 1 Votan. Hivemind, there's 2 Tyranids. That's it. And then Eldari, there's only 2 Eldari, which means the faction podium is World Eaters on top of 5, and then 6 factions on 3, and then everybody else.
Those factional 3 Custodes, Grey Knights, Adeptus Astartes, Death Guard, Orcs, and Necrons.
Yeah.
That's a spread out
So
meta, which is cool.
can we talk about the Grey Knights for a second? Because they had actually a huge representation in the team event we just talked about, too. Did something happen with them? Are they suddenly just
Let's
in
see.
the
So
know?
I actually heard some people discussing Grey Knights, and I felt like they had some great insight, but it has escaped me. Like, so something is going on with that
So there is
faction.
something. Okay. So there is some
There is
chatter.
something.
Okay. Something's going over the Vox. I get it.
That's it. Yeah,
Okay.
but I think it's, they actually do get all the, the deployment tricks, and they are power armor bodies. I mean,
They
like
are.
there's
They
stuff
do
to
have a lot
do.
of tricks. I mean, they I feel like they have a lot of potential. It's just a matter of getting the right units, I guess, because the 3 big units of Terminators is one way. Then you have, or you could do like a lot of MSU. Like I don't know, but they have a lot of tricks. Being able to pick up 3 units at every turn is a big deal, right, Necrons?
It actually is a big deal, because being everywhere on the tabletop with the, what you're called to do as far as like scoring objectives goes, you've got to be everywhere,
Hmm.
and then a bunch of MSU that you can just pick up and put down, and then bring in, the Imperial agents. I think goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a good point too. The fact that you can bring those Imperial Legions with them too, because they, as small as it may seem, sometimes being able to increase the CP cost of a battle tactic can ruin some armies' tactics, like ruin
Yeah.
them.
It causes anytime you're making your opponent make a lot of decisions
Hmm.
about when and where they fire off certain things, you're adding like computational load to what might already be a packed brain.
Yeah.
And so you're playing like on a different level, with
Hmm.
with your opponent at that point. And if you can catch them on that stratagem with the Imperial Agents, the Callous Assassin specifically, not that we know that they're in all these lists, but the Callous Assassin makes its way into a lot of lists, and make that stratagem that they're relying on cost one additional command point. You've got them in a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to see a couple top players in Tizants here. Alistair Helm playing Tyranids with Vanguard
Ooh.
Onslaught. Got a Death Leaper. We were just talking about that a minute ago. Neuro Titan with the Neuron Node. Two Winged Primes, which I think is a really good standout unit. Sometimes it feels kind of awkward to stick it in a unit of warriors, but at the same time,
It does, but in a Vanguard, it is so essential because it gives them the Vanguard keyword, which
great point.
they need.
Uh, 10 Gargoyles, 1 Biovore, 1 Exocrine, 1 Maliceptor, 2 Neurolictors, a Norn Emissary, which
Ooh.
I really thought the Norn Emissary was going to be more of like an auto include in many lists, but we haven't seen it in every list. Uh, but hey, here it is. 2x6 Warriors with a melee loadout, 2x3 Von Ryan's Lictors, which we have seen a lot, and then 6 Zoanthropes, the ubiquitous Zoanthropes, unkillable for most players, never known one to fail an invulnerable save.
Yeah.
But 6 seems to be a good number.
Well, in the Vanguard, you always want one big squad of 6 because they're usually the target to pick up every turn and put back down. So they're always going to be able to get a line on what they want to shoot. So for Vanguard, one unit of 6 is just perfect for zone throws. Sometimes you do the X screen if you want, depending on what kind of gun profile you need. But
Yep.
the ability to pick up something, even if it's not Vanguard, is huge for this army.
And the Zoanthropes just put out a fairly consistent damage. They
They
do
do. Absolutely, they
they
do.
do stuff.
They
They
do
do the good
stuff.
stuff.
They do
They
that.
do the good stuff. Next list we've got here is Sean Sullivan, Leagues of Votan, Oathban here, Oathbound. Einherjar Champion, Call with Grim Demeanor, 10 Hearthkin Warriors, 4 Sagittars, 2 units of Thundercan, one a 6, one a 3, 2x5 Zerkers, 2x10 Hearthguard, 1 Land Fortress, and 3 Pioneers. So kind of spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing a lot more the Votan players start to have a few units of Min Zerkers in there, specifically to take over some objectives that are behind walls, especially in WTC terrain. That's one of the things that they've been struggling with because coming in the deep strike and relying on a 9-inch charge for like the Hearthguard, it's risky a lot of the time. You need something on the board that can threaten those melee objectives that they can only get to by charging. Plus, having some melee on the table is always helpful to have that threat because they're going to be safe in either a land fortress or a Sagittar, right?
Yeah, I've got to go back to the last list for a second here because
Oh,
Dorian says that the Zoes do nothing for them, and I think I have the solution. So
okay.
you have the wrong set of Zoanthropes. Those Zoanthropes have bound; they have not properly imprinted with you. Someone else has your Zoanthropes. You have to find someone else to trade Zoanthropes with, and then it's in your similar situation, and then you can then begin to experience the power of the unkillable zoanthropes and frustrate your opponents.
Ah,
And then
that's right.
you're the person you traded with then has to hope that that those are the zoanthropes right for them, or you have sent them on an eternal quest to switch out and find the right imprint or
That is a
zoanthrope.
hive mind mindset right there. I like it. I like it.
Sorry, back to the Votan is that yeah, it's like the six Sagittars, you basically and then one land fortress, you could basically mount everything up, and you could be the pioneers could be up there doing a little bit of the scurrying, or they just kind of hide behind your vehicle wall. Because what we see is a lot of pioneers jump up in round one and then they go away. This seems to be
Yeah,
like the opposite. They want to use them to be like a mid game, late game point scorer
yeah.
threat.
Well, yeah, they have the Zerkers to do some of the things that the pioneers, more pioneers would normally do. The pioneers are still, their shooting is still good, but they're also one of the faster units. Actually, I think they are the fastest unit in Votan because of their flying bikes. So they
Yeah,
can actually get
yeah, they
front.
move a ton. I mean, they'll
Yeah,
be three quarters of the way across the board
exactly.
turn one if you
Which
wanted them to.
if you wanted to, yeah. Which in an army of movement 3, or sorry, movement 5, I was thinking of it with night spinners or something. Yeah. Anyway, with movement 5, they make a big difference, and you do need them. And but you don't have to throw them right away because you got to wait for either if you're doing tactical, which you could do either with most of the Votan lists. If you're doing tactical, you need something to be able to okay, I got to engage, here we go, or I got to investigate over there, here we go. There's a lot of uses for them, so it's good to have at least one squad of them in a Votan list, I
I mean,
think.
to me, that seems like the plan for this army here is to be that kind of we're going to put a bunch of stuff up midfield.
Mhm.
It's all protected, buy ourselves a round of shooting, and then hit you with everything that you didn't kill, which is everything that does actually the major damage for the army in
Yeah.
this case on turn two, and then still have some stuff left to compete
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
objectives as the game progresses. But people are gonna. I don't think people have found had an answer for Votan. But once these lists start to get just because they haven't had to, by the way, not because
Yeah,
they're a
that's
threat, is
that's
that
true.
people have not thought about it very much. But now we're seeing these lists become more distilled, and people are breaking their collections out again with the Votan. And so I think it's going to have to be something that people consider. And how do you crack uh, just all this basically heavy armor stuff?
Well, it's ironic because we're seeing a lot more like rhinos and stuff coming into the meta right now, which Votan has already technically been doing. So, but one of the reasons they might have actually been doing really well is because people weren't prepared for all these Sagittars that are on the field. But if rhinos start becoming making a resurgence, then Votan might have to change up their tactics a little bit because then people will be ready for it. Or maybe these Sagittars are exactly what they're not ready for when they're building to beat rhinos because Sagittars do a lot more damage than rhinos
Man,
do.
Rhino's just messing everything up.
They're messing everything up.
But you're talking about like you're talking about a gun platform as being good. And that's
Yeah.
why Chaos Space Marine Rhinos I think are better than the Imperial version of that
Oh,
because
for
they're
sure.
basically little mini gun platforms. And you're exactly right. Like the Sagittars and the Land Fortress, those are they're pretty potent on in their own right.
Yeah, especially with +1 to hit, +1 to wound, right?
Oh yeah, good point. Good point. So this is look, we love to see the play out in New Zealand and baits are all over the world. One of the things that we do is we do examine what happens the meta all over the world. And we see different play styles. This might be the most diverse meta we've seen since the data slate change.
Oh, for sure. With world eaters at the top and then everything else basically even, it is very diverse and I actually love it. I give this a stamp of awesome meta.
Nice. So here's the time where we do get to pick a single faction that we think is going to overall win this thing. I picked the last one first. Well, one because I lost last month. But since I picked that last one first, give it to you, Dustin. What do you think?
I'll take world eaters.
World Eaters and
Yeah.
Adam picks Space Marines, Adeptus Astartes.
Mhm.
This is an interesting thing. Like World Eaters, just with the five of them, I think that's a strong pick. Um, and I think I'm gonna go. This is tough. This is tough. Uh, because I don't want to go Eldari again. I gotta mix it up a little bit.
There's only 2 Eldari here too. They're one of the low
Yeah,
represented factions.
I'll take the Chaos Space Marines.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, yeah, I don't want to just pick Eldari, but it is one of the but they're all low represented,
They
which
are.
is I
They are.
shouldn't say
It's
low represented.
crazy.
It's evenly distributed, so that's actually I mean, again that's just really cool to see.
Yeah, so it
All
could be anybody. Like any faction come out here because all of them have pretty equal representation, right? So it's anybody's game. I love it.
yeah, but look, I think you can make a strong case for Astra Militarum
Oh yeah.
in a field like this. I think that you can make a strong case for like we even see the Death Guard. Death Guard got first place in a tournament
They
from last
did.
week.
They did. They're coming. Get ready. You have to deal with Death Guard, guys.
So, and I honestly think though, one is the pilot. Like we talk about the
Of
army list
course.
and the power of a list and what people choose, but it also comes down to the skill of the pilot. Like we talk a lot and talk a lot about games on streams and that kind of stuff. You can never count out the person that's on the other side of that moving the models around.
Hmm.
And you got things like faction experts that come into play. But there are certain things that are definitely on the rise, and I believe it is those faction experts that can truly disassociate themselves from the list they think they have or that they want to take, that they believe they have to take, and then actually shift to what they have to take, meaning the things that is most efficient and can give them the advantage. And
Hmm.
that's what we're seeing come out in these Votan lists and lists like Death Guard. So this is going to be a very exciting end of this year. And as we jump into the second as I don't know. There's going to be like a huge break between playing as we move into the holidays. Even if we don't have events to cover on those holiday weekends, we're still going to do stuff live and they'll stay with us. But things are not necessarily solidified with the meta. This is going to be
Hmm.
very interesting as we lead into the first super major of next year.
Yeah, with
With
on the back of Admech and Necrons too. So
yes, so those are our picks. We have World Eaters, Chaos Space Marines, and
Adeptus
Adeptus
Astartes.
Astartes, and that is the first part of our show. We're going to go into something that we call the palate cleanser I was talking about. Something that just a way to kick back and round out the evening after talking about the numbers and the quote unquote meta. The palate cleanser,
The Pellicles
the
of the
Fuego
Fuego.
Rapido. This is a segment where we give ourselves 2 minutes to run down a series of topics, given what is arguably the hottest takes ever.
There's no argument there. They are the hottest takes ever. Let's be honest. Who are we trying to fool, Paul?
It's a look. Oh my goodness! So we know. Well, actually, I don't know what they are before we start. So it's kind of interesting how we work our way through them sometimes. But after those 2 minutes are done, we abandon the topic, never to come back to them again, unless a Patreon subscriber suggests that we do, and
Which
then we
has
certainly
happened.
put that on the
Which has
list
happened.
to do that. Yep. So once that clock starts, we're off to the races, and here we go.
All right. So today's theme is motivation. Okay. Motivation.
You get out there right now. You
Yeah,
hate that bottle.
oh, of course, you're going right to the football analogies there, right? All right. What song always gets you out on the dance floor?
Oh, by God, 20's version of Like a Prayer.
Wow, you didn't even need to think. That was a record answer, Bonnie. That was on the tip of your tongue right away, like a prayer, right? Like the original.
Well, by God, 20 does a version of it. It's more of a club
Oh,
song,
okay,
and
just more.
yeah.
Wow, that, jeez.
What you got?
I mean, I actually have to think about it a little bit. I'm trying to because there's a couple of them, depending on what group I'm out with. Like if I'm out with my
uh,
guy friends and like Baby Got Back come on, then yeah, we
okay,
all
all right. Sisters of Mercy, Temple of Love is another one. It's gonna
Temple
get
of
me out there.
Love. I can't
Yeah.
think of that one. Why can't I think of that one? What's
Oh, we're gonna create a playlist after this.
Oh, are we? Okay. We're gonna get a playlist
Yeah.
of what will get the Meta Chasers on the dance floor, just so you know if we're like LVO or something.
It Takes Two by Rob Bass.
Oh, okay, yeah. You get some classics in here. Okay. What was it? Oh, ah, Journey. Always
Uh,
Journey.
Don't Stop Believing,
Yeah.
or there we
Like
go.
Don't
All
Stop
right.
Believing.
Well,
Definitely Don't Stop Believing.
does anyone actually dance to that? Is that dance
No,
song?
but we get on the dance floor for it.
Ooh, I bet that's a sight to see.
Yeah. What do you guys got in the chat? What gets you on the dance? So I'm curious to some
Oh,
of the
Sister Mercy More is a good one too. Like so, Temple of Love and Floodland, sorry, are two amazing albums.
just the mercy. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
we definitely need to make a playlist on this kind of stuff then.
that's
Just a playlist of what keeps us on the dance floor, so we're just gonna be like exhausted by the end of the night. That'd be
yeah,
our
it's
thing.
just collapsing.
That'd be collapsing.
There
All right.
there are of course some others, but
Oh, of course. Yeah, I can't think of all of them either, but there's definitely a couple others
when,
that get me out there.
if those come on, it is working my way out to the floor.
Yeah, it's all right, out of the way. Here we go. This is happening.
Cal, you're not too old. You know who Sisters of Mercy are, so it's cool with
Yes,
me.
not too old at all.
I know.
All right, next up.
Uh, oh, we don't have the clock. Do we have the clock?
Yeah, I
Okay.
had the clock. It just
Oh,
went go down.
what activity instantly calms you? Hmm.
Instantly calms me.
I know. Hanging out with my wife.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I could say that
Uh,
too, but I'm gonna come up with something else too. Instantly calms me.
Actually, so deep breaths that sound like frustrated sighs. Like I irritate people around me, but I feel better.
No, I get that. Yeah, taking deep breaths is it's a good way to do it. Hot tub care. Yes, hot tub is good. Yeah, that is a good one for sure. Actually, you know what? Like even a shower can just instantly relax me. Like a hot shower.
Yep,
Like
I
that
can
can be
see that.
relaxing.
I can see during combat. Look,
Combat.
there's something to be said about the adrenaline rush. Like some people like need that
That's true.
to
Some
be
people
to
are
be
most
calm.
calm when they are like pushing
Yeah.
through that adrenaline. Like I can
Yeah,
see that. Yeah.
like in stressful situations, I don't get too worked up and my blood pressure stays. I mean, of course, the situation dependent, right? I'm sitting in like in a what would be like a normal everyday type of stressful situation. My blood pressure doesn't go up that much. I'm actually kind of in a state of calm most of the time.
Okay. I could. Yeah. I'm wondering if everybody else heard how robotic Paul got there while he was talking about his adrenaline. That was kind of
Oh,
ironic, actually.
oh, that's what. Yeah,
KR, I was in the army forever, didn't calm me down. Yeah, no, that, yeah, that is fair as well. All right,
I
what?
think that the level of like what the threshold is
You do
different
have to
for
have
a
a
lot of
threshold,
people.
yeah,
That's
yeah. There definitely has to be a threshold.
um,
All right, solve for that one. Oops, turn up the time. And then next up, who or what never fails to make you laugh? I'm thinking like comedians. Sebastian Maniscalco
that's
always
a
makes
good
me laugh. I
question.
love him. He's hilarious. If you know who I'm talking, you know Sebastian
Yeah,
Maniscalco.
I don't
Really? Look him up.
don't know.
Watch some of his videos.
Okay.
KR Bill Burr, yeah, he's pretty funny. I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm very mature, so fart jokes always make me laugh. I can't help it. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
actually, I do know why
Um,
I'm immature.
like my youngest being very clever, like when he's trying his best to be clever, and you could like just see right through it. But it does make me laugh.
Well, that's cute then.
Uh,
Like is he like
yeah.
trying to be funny a lot of the time, or just trying to be clever and it becomes funny?
It's well, he'll put his whole body into it, like his eyebrows start getting going, and it's like,
Oh, nice. So he's doing like what is Jim Varney, like the facial or Jim Varney, Jim Carrey. Wow, a lot of Jims make facial stuff. Huh. His name's not Jim's, right?
yeah, no, yeah, no, you're dead on.
That's
There we
cool.
go. Let's see what it makes me. It never fails to make me laugh. That's a great
Maybe
question.
like a
Like,
movie? Is there a movie?
I
Is
don't know.
there a movie that
Undercover Blues is a movie that I laugh through the entire time.
I've never seen that.
Um,
Undercover
it
Blues?
is well, it's hilarious. It's an older movie at this point, but it still holds up. It is
Hey, older movies
hilarious.
to you or older movies to me, man. So I mean, I've like, probably enjoy. Oh, a movie that always makes you laugh. It's like 1982 or something. Caveman with Ringo Starr and Shelley Long. It is
Ringo Starr.
stupidest,
That
the stupidest
yep,
movie you'll ever see, but it's hilarious if you just turn your brain off.
I've seen it. Well, I like when they run into the people who speak English,
Yes, so
and
you have
they're
seen
trying to learn
the
caveman.
Asian guy that speaks English. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
No, I've
Watch
seen
it.
it was a long time ago. I don't remember everything, but it's
I own it. I can't wait to show that to my son. All right, that is fuego for that one. Next up, which meal of the day do you most look forward to? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and why?
oh, definitely dinner. Lunch is like some kind of hurried bit of leftover. Although sometimes I look forward to lunch because there's leftovers from the night before, like and
I think
If
that
dinner
kind
was
of still
great,
counts
lunch
as
is gonna
dinner,
be
doesn't
great.
it? If you're looking forward to lunch because it's leftovers from last night's dinner, is that really looking forward to lunch? Or is that still like,
It's a great question.
I'm still excited about dinner?
Dinner is my answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Yeah,
mean,
dinner is my answer.
I,
We
I
eat a
feel
lot of
like
burgers and tacos.
we've gathered that from the show for sure. I feel like dinner is just. I get why some people look forward to breakfast because like I do go for like morning workouts, so I do often look forward to breakfast after that. But that's because I'm hungry and I need to eat. But in terms of
Yeah.
what I'm eating, I'm definitely looking more forward to dinner most of the time, unless we're going to like there's some really good lunch buffets actually. So if we're going to like a lunch buffet, like one of
Well,
those
what about when it's like breakfast for dinner? Like we have breakfast tacos quite a bit. Like I'll make
breakfast
us some chorizo,
tacos,
scrambled
like
eggs, and
scrambled eggs on a
yeah,
taco. I have never heard of that. Scrambled eggs on a.
man, we got some work to do.
Why did you're supposed to introduce me
Yes.
to this stuff all LVO last year, Paul? Like I feel like I'm missing out a lot. Breakfast tacos? What?
this this year, breakfast tacos, breakfast burritos. I'm telling you, a good chorizo and scrambled eggs with cheese
Hmm.
burrito, or sorry, taco for breakfast or dinner for breakfast is just delicious.
Is that still looking forward to dinner though? Because you're calling it a breakfast for dinner. Now we're getting into semantics.
Well, we agree it's the time of day,
Is that the only thing that we're
and
looking
the
for? Is the
size of
time
the
of day that
meal
we're
too.
eating?
I think uh, the time of day and probably the size of the meal.
If we're talking about time of day,
Because
then
I
it's
don't eat very
breakfast for
much
me.
for breakfast.
If it's time of day, then it's breakfast for me. If it's what we eat, it's dinner. There we go.
All right, all right. Oh, there we go.
And
Next,
last but
next.
not least, do you live by any words of wisdom?
Never call a vote you don't know the answer to.
Wow. That's actually a lot deeper than it sounds. Where'd you get that from?
I mean, it's you know, a lot of experiences.
He's being so cautious right now. I mean, that's a good one though.
Yeah, the question asked, I answered the question.
Yeah, no, I can't fault you for that. For me, it was something that my dad always said. He was quoting somebody, but I think it was I can't remember who he was quoting. But he always said, "If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life." I live by that.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
I am a big proponent
Oh,
of
yeah.
whatever I'm doing in my life. I want to enjoy it, like what I'm getting paid for, because then it never hurts to go to work. I'm happy to do it. I'm excited to do it, and I won't like be lazy at it or scoff off at it because I don't enjoy it. So I'll do well at it. I will advance.
Yeah.
I'll help my family, myself, and I won't even feel like I'm working. And I have accomplished it, and I
No,
will
that's
continue to do
it's
it.
great advice. Yeah. If people can figure that out, that is a great thing.
It is
It's a good thing to strive for. See
it
what
is
else.
something to strive for. It's not easy to accomplish, but if you can get there, highly recommend for sure.
Yep. There we go.
There we go. That's
So
it.
I mean, I think we solved that.
Well, we solved that for sure. That was nailed that one.
Yeah.
And that is it.
So that is our show this week. Please do not forget to leave us some 5-star reviews. No matter where you listen to us, whatever that rating metric is, please hit whatever the max is, because that's the way to kind of tell the algorithms that the people should come and hang out with us and hang out in the chat, listen to us after the fact. Whatever the case may be, that's a hassle-free way you can interact with the show, and it means the world to us. Support us here and just hanging out. Watching, listening to the whole thing. Check us out on Patreon. Coming and giving us a what's up in chat. It's all amazing. We love it. That is our show this week. We are finishing bang on time. I know we started like a minute too late. I apologize for that. But it's been a pleasure.
Always a fun time. Love doing this show with you, Paul, and Adam, and everybody in chat. We appreciate you being here, helping us think of the things we can't think of on the spot, because again, we are live, so the help is appreciated.
We will see y'all next week, everybody. Good night.
See you next week.